Okay. You remember what we spoke about yesterday?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at your note.
Okay, what did we speak about?
We want to know which one is the Yeled Mechunach. We're waiting.
That's what we ended with, but we talked about that every child is different, just like you would adjust the recipe, you would adjust the discipline of a child. You would mold him your way that would work for him or her.
Very good. Very good. Now,
Also, we want to know if the behavior of the parents is important or the
very
child.
good.
Yeah.
I see that you were tuned in last night. Very good. Okay, so now,
The role model, if it's important role model.
what is definition? How are we going to define if the child is mechunach or not? Is there a situation that is missing in the chinuch? Is everything depends on the parents to be good role model? That's how we end it. And I promise you that tonight we're going to talk about it. Yes?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So now, here we go. I'm going to bring you a few examples, and let's see what you're going to say. The boy name is Yoel. Yoel, everybody says, is a wonderful boy. His behavior is unbelievable. He's very pleasant. Everybody wants to be next to him. Everybody wants to be his friend. And they're coming to consult with him. Every step that he takes, every move is very thoughtful. Many times his friends were thanking him that he opened up their eyes to look at life in the right way. Yoel doesn't waste any time. When it's time to learn, he is there. When it's time to pray, he is there. And he is ready to help everybody that needs his help. And he has a very sharp eyes, and he sees who needs help. Right away he comes and says, "Can I offer you my help?" He's so good that people came to ask his parents, what is the secret to raise such a child? What is the chutz? How did you do it? What recipe do you have? You'll be surprised from the answer. They said, we don't know. We didn't put any extra effort, we were parents. And if you're asking us if we're professional in chinuch, no, we're not. When we got into the bottom of it, we found out that Yoel's parents are very good role model. Yoel, whatever he saw at home, That's what he knew how to act. His parents, they didn't see it as, we call it that the apple is not falling far from the tree. Now, is this child, we're going to call him Mechunach?
Yes, every child is Mechunach, you said.
Yes.
Okay, but the parents over here, they said, we didn't put any extra effort. We did like any other parent, you know.
Because that's what they do. The parents do in the house. So the child learns from the
Okay.
parents.
The child is Mechunach, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What is the definition of Mechunach?
We'll see. I'm not done yet.
I think maybe not necessarily Mechunach, because maybe he could have been at a higher level if they put a little more, if they did put some effort.
He was very good. He was a very good boy.
Okay, so
Now let's go to the girl. There is a girl by name Yael. The Yaels are tough. It's a very strong name, by the way. She is not disciplined at all. She is chutzpanit. What is a chutzpanit? And she's arrogant. Everybody is complaining about her behavior. And they're punishing her. Her parents punishing her. In school, they're punishing her. Doesn't help. She is the same. She's not doing well with her friends. She's not giving in even an inch. It's my way or you take the highway. And if you're coming to tell her, your behavior is not right or something, deaf ears. The Mora called the mother and she said, it's very difficult to deal with your child. She said to the mother, we cannot go on like this. And the mother reaction was, and the teacher was in shock. She started with anger to jump on the teacher. And she told her, from where do you have the guts to pick on my child? Today the teacher thinking that they know everything. I admit I have problems with my daughter, yes. I'm trying all kinds of things, every method that I can find, but there is no change. If you're asking me, to my opinion, everything coming from school. Only the teacher are to blame. And she hung up the phone. Is this girl mechunechet?
No.
Yes. I think yes.
No.
She is mechunachet because there's a problem of the parents. She acting the same as
Yeah, it's from the parents' fault. It's not
I
the
mean,
teacher's
to say
fault.
the parent, I mean,
that's the chinuch that she gets.
She acts exactly
Yeah,
like her
whatever the
mother.
parents teach her.
The
mom
girl is
is
acting like her
Mechunach.
mom. The girl is acting like her mom.
That's
yeah.
the chinuch that she see in the house.
I didn't ask you if she's acting like the
לא,
mother.
היא לא מוכרת, she's
That
not.
was not my question. Please stay on the topic.
She mechunachet, but
מחונכת.
Yes, yes.
No.
Oh, you came back from Israel?
yes, came back, ברוך השם, מגיע לנו מזל טוב.
מזל טוב, מזל טוב, מזל טוב.
נאומים, שני בנים, ברוך השם. אוי, והיה מה...
מזל טוב, רוזה, מזל טוב.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
כן ירבו, כן ירבו. Okay.
Rabbi, it's very hard to say whether it's the child's mechunachet or not because I don't know what it means.
Okay. Let's leave this,
It means
okay?
discipline?
Let's go to number 3.
Yeah, it's discipline. חינוך זה discipline.
No. Chinuch is not disciplined. There is no such a word in no language.
מה זה okay.
Can you tell me
me?
what does it mean חנוכת הבית? מה זה חנוכת הבית?
להאיר את הבית.
To start.
Celebration.
כאילו...
לחנך.
לחנוך את הבית.
Creating חנוכה.
To deduct.
To start living.
Who over here made חנוכת הבית?
I did.
Yes.
We all did.
We all did.
You all did. Nobody explained you what does it mean?
It's not a dedication.
דברי תורה.
Yeah.
First דברי תורה in the בית.
What for?
To clean the house.
To clean the house. Call a Spanish one.
To start
living. To bring kedusha.
Foundation.
New to the house.
לחנך את הבית.
Dedication.
Renew the house.
Okay.
The living.
Okay. I hear you.
Clean the walls.
Okay.
Educate the house.
I'll get to it. Okay, I promise you I'll get to it. Bezat Hashem. Let's go to the third one. The name is Shoshana. Very special girl. The teachers and the friends, they're having a difficulty to know how does she get such a midot. She is behaving mamash example for all the girls. Even if you start to instigate and you try to make her angry, you're not going to succeed. Shoshana, she'll take any measure. She'll give in. She'll make up. She'll try to forget, just not to get angry. Her parents, exactly the opposite. They're not able to control their anger. She is growing up in a very negative atmosphere. And she has the merit to hear very often screaming, yelling, and volcano of anger on every small mistake that you do. Why? That's the house that she grew up. No proportion. It's very difficult to understand how these kind of crazy parents, they have such a daughter. Where she came from. She knows how to control herself better than the parents that brought her to the world. And the role model that she sees at home, she should have been a criminal by now. And she became a tzaddiket. So where is the role model?
I'm putting it in the box. She chooses for herself what she wants to be.
That's
But
a survival mechanism for her.
if we're saying that the role model is the main thing, how come it's not the main thing by her? Something has to be a damage, no?
Some people, they're born with a good character.
But the parents can destroy it.
Yeah.
In no time they can destroy
maybe
it.
Is it that the child has a will?
Okay. So now
Isn't she going to be
Hey, I think I know because she has like a desire to be good. So she's going to be good. Like she has a role model probably like out, not in her house, but somewhere else. Like she finds someone. No? Okay.
Okay.
I think that's the only
She
way
wants
that.
to be the
Let
opposite
me
of her
explain,
parents.
please. Okay.
She doesn't want to be like her parents, and she wants to be the
Okay,
opposite.
let me explain. I brought these three to show you, okay, three kinds of chinuch. In the first example that I brought, the boy named Yoel, you see a very good boy, and the number 3, Shoshana, she's a very good girl. Both of them mechunachim, they behaving very good. And Yael, the number 2, we will tell she no chinuch בכלל. חוצפנית, חוצפה, arrogant. So if we're saying what? That the chinuch, the main thing is what?
But the kids have their own.
Is to be a role model. So there is no child that is not mechunach. They all have a chinuch. You take a baby and you throw him in the forest or in the jungle, he will get a chinuch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The jungle.
Yes.
According to its environment. Chinuch according to its environment.
Exactly. Meaning now we know there is no child not mechunach. Every child is mechunach. But depends what chinuch you gave him. Like in the jungle,
Rav Haimoff, you're very right, but sometimes the kids have their own yitzhar and their own, I don't know, emotions and nature, no matter the nurture.
we'll get to it. Okay.
Okay,
I
thank
know. I know. But first of all, we have to build the foundation. There is no child that we know that have no chinuch.
Yeah. Right, we have to try to give over a good foundation. Yeah.
Every child we gave him a chinuch, but what type of a chinuch we gave? For example, number two, this Yael, the mother, she didn't know that she is mechanechet her child to be chutzpanit because the mother was chutzpanit. So how good is the chinuch? There is no house that there is no chinuch. There is. But how good it is. Excellent one? A terrible one? A chinuch to be chutzpan? A chinuch to be patient? A chinuch to be decent and fair? A chinuch to be sneaky and manipulator? A chinuch to be humble? Or a chinuch to chase after kavod and money? Now,
The children are the image of their parents.
now
Is that
in
what
the
you're
two
saying?
first one, Yoel and Yael, they were the outcome of their parents. Yoel was a good boy because of his parents. For them, it came natural, so he took it as natural. Yael was copy of her mother. The parents of these two, one for good and one for the worse, they don't pay attention that their mother influenced their kids. Yael's mother, she didn't see what she's doing damage to her child. The same way that the parents of Yoel, they didn't know how come they have such a good child, because they were good. So now, if we're going about a role model, where Shoshana came from, her mother was the most terrible one that we can see. And she is behaving exactly the opposite of the chinuch that she got at home. Meaning, what did she do?
She changed. She changed.
How?
Like
She
for the
had the
better.
will.
She saw what
She worked on herself.
she
She
worked
looked at the good things.
Meaning, like she saw what she went through. She saw what her parents did, and she's like,
How
"No,
old is this girl?
She is a teenager.
But isn't she also reacting to her parents? I feel like she's going to be miserable when she's going to grow up because she's suppressing everything. Like you gave us examples before. And so she's not going to be in a good way. So she is reacting. Okay.
Okay. So here we
She's
see
probably
exception
the
to the
youngest
rule.
one, so she's the
Here we
smartest.
see exception to the rule, and I'm saying it for a purpose. And wait a second, I'll tell you why I'm saying all this. When a child sometimes sees in his house such a model, the child gets disgusted from it. And he will turn 180 degrees, and he will promise himself, or she will promise herself, in our case, what my parents are doing, I'm not going to do.
yeah, exactly,
And he'll go to the other extreme now.
yeah."
And he has a decision, I'm not going to be like my parents. It's correct that from the decision now to bring it to reality is going to take work, hard work. Because sometimes the influence that the parents give her is there, the scratches are there, the damage is already done. She has to fight almost a lost fight. I know many of them that say we hate our parents, we don't want to live like them.
Very true.
At the end, they wind up like their parents.
Oh
Very
my God.
true.
Oh no.
With
Oh,
all the promises because the damage already was done.
oh my gosh.
Only very few that I saw, very, very few, they came from not normal home. באמת not normal. I don't know who's going to last there. And they became angels. Angels. Okay. It's one, mamash, you need siyata dishmaya, but it's very difficult.
Kodara. What about alcoholic families? Usually the alcoholic child, he either joins or he either totally different, like he never touches alcohol. So I think it's the same thing towards the anger and isn't it?
No. Alcohol is something else. Alcohol don't have to do nothing with a character. You have to overcome a desire. But a character is something that you have to work on. Imagine you have to work on anger. Just imagine.
Rabbi, opposite is also possible, that the parents are good and child is bad?
Yeah.
Of course it's possible.
How is that possible?
You see because of the environment and the friends.
Mm-hmm.
What you planted inside is there. Most probably when he'll get older, much older, he will come back to the senses. Most probably. But in the meantime, he'll go through a very hard time. Very hard time. So now, let me tell you this much. Every educator will tell you that a role model, a good one, have a lot of influence on the child. Don't get me wrong. Most of the success in Chinuch is coming from the model of the parents, yes. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And that's the mistake. The job is not done yet. Still, the child is his own person. He sees what the parents are doing, everything else, but he has to work on himself now. He has a different character than the parents.
And how you do that?
We'll see.
Especially teenagers. Oh my goodness.
Sablanut. And not only that, there is no tzaddik in the land that didn't make a sin. The best parents, the best ones. Also, sometimes they're making boo-boos. We're not angels. So if the child is only imitator, is imitating the parents, what they do, he wants to do the same. So he will imitate the bad also. Not only the good, he will imitate them. So if you imitate them all the way. That's why the parents has a job to do.
מה אתה בקולנוע?
כמעט. So now, the parents have to tell the child, you got from us whatever you need, now it's time to work on yourself on your own. That's why the yeshiva is so important.
At what age?
When we come after the bar mitzvah.
Thank you.
That's why we have to send them to good yeshiva. In the yeshiva, the mashgiach will tell them, you have to fix this, you have to fix this. What he got from home, he got from home. He has it in his pocket. It's there. But yet, he is only an imitator. What he did for himself, where is the self-work that he has to work on himself? We don't want our child to be only imitators. What is the difference between Yoel and Shoshana?
Shoshana worked on herself.
And Yoel had it naturally in him because of his parents influencing him for the positive.
So let's say Yoel got a Yerusha, $1 million, from an aunt that he didn't know Bechlal she is existing. And Shoshana made the $1 million from her work that she met sweated. So now we can say that Yoel is only trained. If will come time of nisayon, of a test, he will not be able to stand the test. Why? He is only an imitator. He never fought. He got it on the silver platter. He was lucky enough to be born at good parents. It's not enough. The environment in the house will help him to enhance himself to the next level. But to say that this is what it is and that's it, it's a mistake. The role modeling is only to help the child to see, now you take this, and now you see what you're doing, what you need to work on, and you go do it for yourself. We cannot do it for you.
But aren't they doing this already with friends?
Friends, well, they can teach them the friends.
No, I'm not saying teach them. I mean, they have these experiences with the friends, whether or not they're going to follow the wrong or the good. So isn't... Can you explain it more? I don't understand.
They need a yeshiva, somebody to diagnose the problem that he has. You can come from very good home, very good. But you have a problem, maybe you were born like that. That you don't care too much for other people. Maybe. maybe you have anger issues. Who knows? That's Hashem sent you with a mission. You're not like your parents. You can look at them. You can learn from them. You can admire them. But you not been tested yet like they've been tested. Shoshana, most probably when the test will come, she'll be able to overcome it. Why?
I think it would be actually the opposite, though, because she cannot deal with her. Because typically kids that grow up in these kind of homes, they cannot deal with other people's emotions. They just shut down, no?
No.
Okay.
She's very good.
Because I know some people that actually are really depressed because they do not know how to feel.
I know. And we're saying since she worked on herself.
Oh, okay.
She worked on herself. You think she's going to give it up?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Easy come, easy goes.
But Kvod Rab, are we being tested by our kids now as well?
What?
Are we getting tested by our kids as well?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If let's say, because for me, I'm always about kindness and things like that. But then at some point, my husband would notice that, let's say, when I used to talk with my daughter and try to explain things to her, like she's screaming, like her voice is accelerating. Meanwhile, I'm keeping it calm. And so he was telling me, you're letting her disrespect you. So in that kind of situation, I need to become different in terms of that as well. Okay.
Meaning she wants to see how far she can go with you.
So stop the conversation and then talk to her when she's calm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't lose your temper. Don't lose your say, okay, I see that you don't want to talk. Okay, so we're going to talk later on.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, do you want your kids to be imitators or to be self-made?
Self-made.
Can you help them? Yes. Can you make them?
No.
The best help is to show to be a good role model, and then to see where they're lacking. And when you send them to the yeshiva, you go to the Rosh Yeshiva and tell them, my kid needs a chizuk in this aspect, please. We want you to diagnose him. Okay. So now the mashgiach knows what to do. He will take a hard look and he will sit with a child, maybe with a few more kids that have the same problem, and he will teach them how to work on themselves. When the children are small, yes, we're feeding them only a model. They don't understand yet. They imitate us. The same way they imitate you with everything, they'll imitate your behavior as well. But they're becoming a teenagers, then the imitation is already over. Then you have to capitalize on this. They understand now. And now you have to talk to them like you're talking to adults. and say, it's time for you to build yourself up. We did what we could do. But to do it for you, we cannot. So when you hear, I'm a victim of my parents, how many times did you hear it?
Too many. Like a cop-out. Why should I work on myself? This is how I was raised.
Meaning, you put a sign over here, I'm a victim, I'm patur. My parents is at fault. My teacher is at fault. The yeshiva is at fault. My wife is at fault. My husband is at fault. The neighbors are at fault. Me, I'm a victim. What do you want from me?
Is that a sign of depression?
This is a sign that a person is in nowhere's land.
It's a lot of work, though. You can get out of it, but it's a lot of work.
Okay. These excuses is very good for small kids. But a teenager, you can sit down with him and explain him. You can explain him. You now at the stage that you have to work on yourself. You have to prepare yourself for life. We give you whatever we have. That's it. Even if you're the best role model, can you give him everything? No. We can't.
Faham, I have questions. I know a lot of families who talk to their teenagers, but the teenagers don't pick up. They don't listen to the parents. They still do whatever they want to do. What are your advice to those families?
You just have to say what you have to say. Then it gets banged. Be prepared for it. He'll get a smack over here, get a smack there. He will bang his head in one wall, in a second wall. That's how you learn.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Because if he will listen only to you, he'll be a robot. We're not looking for robots. Let him grow up to be his own person.
To what extent, though, are we hands off a little bit and let them make their own mistakes? At what point do we feel like a parent needs to intervene?
If they are in a good yeshiva, the environment is okay. But he wants, after all, a child is a child, is a teenager. He wants to feel independent, or she wants to feel independent. Okay? We have to understand this. And it's good. Now you're independent. Now you have to work on your own. We cannot do it for you.
But which yeshiva are you talking about? The yeshiva Gedolah or the yeshiva, the small yeshiva?
When they're starting high school. What if
there is no high school yeshiva in your city where you live?
What?
What if there is no yeshiva in the city that you live in? Not everybody lives in New York and everything is accessible. Or even if there is yeshiva, some yeshivas don't want to take your child because they have certain criteria. So maybe you're not on their level or whatever it is. Like, what do you do in this kind of situation?
You move?
Yeah, I live in a different state. I don't live in New York.
I can hear. You move?
Or I move because of my child?
Yeah.
What if I cannot afford to move?
Okay.
Let them dorm.
Should I ask you the same question again? What happens if the child is very ill and you don't have hospital that able to accommodate him? Are you gonna move?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's very hard.
Life calling for very hard decisions.
یه خورده انگول میاری انگول.
Niloufar Khanum, please mute.
I did already, it's okay.
Kawatharam, I have a question.
Yes. Yes.
So the way we treat our children has an effect on them. Let's say a child who's constantly being put down, right? So it's going to have an effect on the child. I mean, later on in life, we cannot say, okay, so you're an adult. You cannot blame your parents or say the way you're brought up. I feel like it's a permanent scar. The way we bring up our children. I mean,
They're gonna have to fight it, yes. It's a very big scar. And
so we play a major role, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, you're giving them the starting point. It can be a good one. It can be a terrible one.
Like confidence, it comes from home, right?
Yes. Everything is from home. This for sure. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Niloufar, please mute.
Okay. Now, don't underestimate when the child imitates you at your good behavior. That's okay. But what is the Madregat Adam? Do you know what is the level of a person that we can say that he is be'emet reached something in his life? The Baalei Musar, they saying, when a person is overcoming the Yetzer Hara on things that he didn't learn from the house.
Can you give examples to it, please? It's confusing a little bit.
Why?
And what was the source?
The source is all the books of the Musar that you can find.
Oh, I thought you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yetzer Tov or Yetzer Hara?
Yetzer Hara, what Yetzer Tov? Yetzer Tov. Overcome.
Can you explain? We didn't understand it good. Please.
Does it have to do when his house is angry and he overcomes it as he gets older? Is that what the Musar is discussing here?
Let's say, he never saw his parents arguing. or angry at each other. Now, if he'll get to an argument with his wife, what is he going to do?
He's probably going to respond the same way that his parents responded.
He didn't see it before.
Shut down.
So either he won't know how to,
computer.
either he'll yell back or he just will be in shock and not know how to deal with it or
Yeah.
be quiet.
So now, if he will be able to overcome the Yetzer Hara, they tell him, don't give up. Scream back at her or be angry at her. If he will be able to overcome it, then he is a self-made man. Because this he didn't learn at home. He never saw his parents
Very nice. Yeah.
arguing. What is he going to do?
Rabbi, would you recommend the parents to pretend to argue and then solve it?
Chas v'shalom.
Okay. I don't know. Okay.
You don't argue. Let the child, you see, again and again. When the child will get to yeshiva, we know where he is coming from. And we have to prepare him, don't think that what you saw at home, that's what you're going to get in your house. Might be that your wife will not be like your mother. Or we're telling her, don't think for a second that your husband will be like your father. What are you going to do? Are you equipped? No. No.
With the Rav, I'm sorry, sometimes it happens that the Yetzer Hara makes it seem so much like it's a Yetzer Tov. So these they actually practice these things?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So now, according to what I told you about the 3 cases, who is the most Mechunach among these 3?
Shoshana.
Shoshana, yeah.
Very good. Why?
Because she made a choice.
Because
So
she
she wants to overcome herself.
She overcame the Yetzer Hara.
She was put in a position where her parents were constantly angry and fighting, and she overcame it, and she became her own man-made person.
Yeah, she changed.
Man-made.
She changed herself.
So don't think for a second that I'm telling you, okay, be bad to each other so your kids will come out good. Because 99% when the parents are not behaving, the kids will come out. I brought Shoshana as an example that it's something which is extraordinary. Meaning, how far can a person go when he work on himself? He can overcome everything. And we should initiate for our kids to work on themselves. We don't have to do for them everything. Like today, I see many parents.
Rabbi, I think we're all like Shoshana when we started to become religious 20 years ago. Remember when we used to start to go to Shurim?
Yeah. Meaning you're self-made. You're self-made.
Yeah.
And Hashem help you in any way.
Well, this generation is very different from the generation where we were coming from.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How do you deal with
Never.
that?
You
Like you tell
were
them something.
mamash.
You say
You
one word, they
guys,
give you 300 back. How do you deal with that?
you guys were hotcakes. They're men
I think
hotcakes.
it was very hard for us. Remember our Haimoff
Why?
fighting not only with us, with our parents, with our grandparents.
I fought with everybody just to save you girls. Okay, but again, you did it to yourself. You decided things on your own. We helped you. Yes, we helped you. But you did the work. I didn't go home with you to protect you. You went home and you had
But
to.
we had the right guidance. You know?
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem, we had the right guidance.
Oh, so now
No, but even
the parents have to guide the child. Exactly.
Haimoff, question. Even if you do guide your kids, but you know what? That's something like ego, like attitude. Like you tell them one word, they give you 300 words back. How do you deal with that?
Okay. Don't you think we got it in the high school? So what do you think happened to the girls who didn't want our advices? Got married, they got spanked, they got divorced with kids, and now I have to take care of them. Why
But
didn't
that's
you listen?
exactly something that you want to avoid for your kids not to go into. How do you deal with that? How do you guide them to the right way?
There is nothing guaranteed in life, you know. Nothing is guaranteed for anybody. At least you can try.
Your job is just to explain, let the child feel it on his own. I did my job. I spoke to you, I advised you, I showed you a good example. What else I can do? You want to go put your hand in the outlet? Some kids will say, yes, I'll put my hands in the outlet, I'll get electric shock, then I'll know that you're okay, that you're right. There are kids like that.
So you let them do that?
What can you
As
do?
a parent, you let them do that, knowing
What
that
can
it's
you do?
gonna damage them?
What can you do?
I feel that sometimes we have to let them fall in order to get up.
For sure. It's painful. I don't tell you no. It's very painful. To see that your own child, he will fall. He will fall. For the short run, it's painful. For the long run, it's worth it.
כבוד הרב, 7 פעמים צדיק נופל וקם.
כן. Yeah. So, you have to understand that every child of yours, he came from a different mission. And he has a different character from the other one. So when you're showing a good example to your kids, okay, it's generally you're showing them how a couple have to operate. It's a big advantage, very big advantage.
Let's say you have older kids, and then you have a younger. The boys, like the kids, have a sibling, and the youngers are learning from the oldest. How do you deal with that? And you know that something that the youngsters are learning is not good, it's not kosher. How do you deal with that?
So you have to talk to both parties now. To the older one, you have to talk to him to tell him, what you're doing is damaging your little siblings. And to the little one, it says, your brother is going through a very hard time. We have to understand him. In a very nice way, you have to tell him he's a little bit sick now. We'll wait until the fever will come down. To be a parent, it takes a lot of koach. Because in every home almost, there is one child that is a tchotchke. Do you know what tchotchke means? Huh? A wise guy.
A toy?
A wise guy. Instigator, or she's instigating. Or you can have a child, she cries non-stop, wow, wow, all the time. Everybody has it. Everybody. If you don't have it here, you'll have it from the other one. And trust me, you take it while they're small, because when they're becoming teenagers,
What do you mean take it while they're small? What does that mean?
Then you really need a good stomach. They think they know everything. We came from the woods, right? They know everything, right? Meantime, they know, that's what they know, and they want to teach their parents what to do. Why? Because they think if they play with the computer and the phone, the parents already belong to the museum. Not advanced. Because they think that life is only a smartphone and this phone and this. My mother, she don't know how to text, but bachtit miskena. So you know how to text, but you don't know how to deal with the person, bichlal. Your mother don't know how to text, but she's a mensch.
Kvod Rabbi, I think my daughter was a teenager ever since she was born. In terms of talking to rabbis, like my daughter, let's say she's in elementary school, and she's really she has this nice persona, and everybody loves her and everything in school. I don't want to break that, Should I still speak to the rabbi about her behavior at home, or
No, they'll pick it up.
I don't think they will. I get only compliments about her, like, oh, that's so nice to hear, but
They will.
Yeah. Eventually.
Meaning probably they see it in school, but it's normal. For us, it's normal.
Okay.
Rabbi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What if, like Rabbi said, you're trying to equip them with tools, and eventually when they get older, they'll have to do it on their own because they're put in different situations. But right now, while they're small, you have influences from everywhere, like other kids bring technology or words that you don't use at home, language that's not used in your house. How do you help your child in that situation? Like they'll get influenced on the bus with the other kids in the school, and then they start crying, we want this, and we don't give in to them. But how do you help them? How can you educate them in that way while they're still small? Like they're coming home with the words they're not supposed to hear on the bus, or they want a smartphone, or they want smartwatches. How do you deal with that?
So, Be'emet, the school buses are the most terrible thing that I can even think of.
Yeah, and it's a good yeshiva. I'm saying you try to do your best, you do your shtadlut, you ask, but how do you deal with that?
So now, it very much now have to do with you and your husband and what kind of a scene you're gonna make. If your child saying, a smartphone, this one, you say, and the child get, whoa. And right away, you run to the Tehillim book and you start to read this, oy vavoy, oy vavoy, a smartphone, oy, oy, oy. Oh. The child will see a reaction. Not, don't say it over here, don't this, that's not going to help. They have to see that in this house,
What about the chutzpah? All the chutzpah that we have to deal with nowadays. Especially as they get older, and especially when they do pick it up. So the bus, Baruch Hashem, is not even a problem for us because we don't deal with that, Baruch Hashem. But still, they pick it up in school, amongst peers, during recess, like all these things. And it's insane. And it's shocking because the things that come out of their mouths, like, I'm like, my mouth dropped, my jaw drops. And I'm like, where do you hear this? Like, where? And the terminology is insane. Like, I don't know. It's really like, I even hear these like morbid things, not only from my kids, but like my students of the same age, let's say. Things like, oh, we're going to slice his head off. And one of my students said this the other day, and I was shocked. I'm like, what? Like, where do you, and I started digging, trying to figure out, like, where do you hear this? And I know the family, I know the parents, I'm almost positive it's not from home. And I can't understand where the chutzpah and where all this terminology and all these morbid, crazy things are coming from.
If they're watching TV, then they're picking it up from the TV. It's coming from there.
From the game that they play.
Right.
Yeah, video games, YouTube channels. My son.
Funny is like mom insists that she monitors everything, that there aren't such things that they're exposed to. And I just wonder, like, is it that they are and just parents don't realize the extent? Like, I don't know.
But Rabbi, sometimes parents talk among each other and they don't even know that the kids are listening. The kids pick up. They're sponges.
I hear what you're saying. Now, to give you general advice, I cannot, because I have to know the child. I have to know what school is it. If we can talk to him in sarcastic way, some child, he will understand when you try to make jokes out of it. I have never seen a sliced head, it's very interesting. Let's go to the store and see if there is a sliced head. Maybe I'll give you a steak from a sliced head.
That's true, yeah.
Next time, I'm going to make you lunch with a sliced head. You will never want to hear it again.
I'm trying that. I'm so using that. We'll see where we get. Right.
See, some kids can take it, and some kids are there.
It's true. Some kids will have nightmares. They'll take it too literal. It depends.
It depends on the child, who is the child.
Right. It's worth trying, though.
Yes.
Thank you. But the chutzpah, what about the chutzpah? What are we doing with that? It's like, it's mind-blowing. My brain wouldn't even go that far, let alone my tongue when I would talk to my parents now. Forget about the age of these kids. Like, and it's like nothing. Like, it's just like, second nature.
Okay, so I'll tell you what to do.
And that's where the little ones, like was mentioned, the little ones learn. I feel that this is also the problem. The little ones learn here.
So I'll tell you what. You sit with your kids, you say, my ears, they have something inside. When they hear chutzpah, they become deaf. Deaf. So if you're gonna ask me something, I don't hear.
Right. So that's what I tell them when they yell. When they yell, I tell them I don't hear you if you're yelling. Like my ears don't work. So I mean, it's good for chutzpah.
No, but you answering it meaning that you hear.
No. Before that, I tell them. Right. Okay.
Now, when they start to scream or speak by the chutzpah, you're not here. You sing. Mommy, I want cereal. You? How long do you think it will take?
But what if the chutzpah in the sense that they ignore you, or in the sense that like they would be harsh to their sibling and the sibling ignores them and then they end up hitting them? Like in that sense.
Hitting we're not going to accept. This is already Esav. Okay?
I spoke to him about it so many times. It's just so hard.
You tell
It doesn't
him,
go in.
okay, you keep saying it, whoever raising his hand is a Rasha.
But what about in terms of shaming? Isn't that shaming? Because I heard somewhere that we're not allowed to shame our kids and all that.
I'm not shaming you. I'm telling you what's going to be the consequence. You cannot raise hands over here. In this house, nobody raises hands.
And what about in terms of emotional reactions from the kids? Because if it doesn't go their way, I'm just talking about my daughter. She's already turned 9 and she's already, maturing and all. But she has such emotional reactions sometimes. Like she would start crying or, screaming. It's like, I don't know.
Okay, so she tried to manipulate everybody with her emotions. Okay. Our job is to stay cool, to stay calm.
Even if it seems legitimate? Like she would walk away. So she didn't get anything out of it.
Okay.
To just let it be.
That's how she'll grow up.
We need to
know
breathe.
that this kind of action, you talk. Okay, we'll continue.
Can I just say something? Can I just say something it helped me a lot. My kids have a tendency, and there's little kids, the oldest one is 10 and the youngest one is 3. They have a tendency to tattletale on each other or complain on one another. And this one did this one. What I do is I started to close my ear, and I've been doing this for the past almost 2 months. And I say, no. No lashon hara. I don't want to hear lashon hara about your brother or your sister. And they stop. It's amazing. Once I started using this method, in the beginning, they're like, why are you telling us this? I'm like, no, not allowed to. I don't want to hear it.
Okay, good. But some kids, they'll do even more than that.
True.
Each child will react. There is no one recipe for everything, as I said in the beginning. So each child is his own world, and we have to see how to deal with him.
I have a common question. Let's say a child asks you for something and didn't get their way. They walk to their room now and they scream and yell, crying that they didn't get their way, it didn't happen the way they wanted to. How do you deal with that? Do you leave them alone, just let them cry out? Even though your heart breaks down, you just let them scream out?
One day, if it's a he, he'll be a very good singer. He will develop his lungs,
Rabbi, why do we choose sandak at the Brit Milah? That baby to become like that sandak. What does that mean then?
Not always. It's okay. This is a different topic.
Oh.
I don't think it's now it's a time for that. We'll call it a night. And
Okay. Toda Rabba, Rabbi.
thank you, and I'll see you Motzei Shabbat.
Thank you so much.
Toda Rabba.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you, Rabbi
much.
Chaim.
Shabbat shalom. Good night.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank
At
you.
the same time,
Thank you.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Motzei
Shabbat
Shabbat,
shalom.
9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Chaim. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.